Hi everyone, I'm Pat Prokop out here in the heavenly backyard garden. Now I have a target in mind that I want to shoot for tonight. It is the Rosette Nebula along with the Christmas Tree Nebula. Now that's a wide field of view and my equipment won't allow me to get that wide of a view, but there is a way of doing this. And I'll be using Pixinsight and N.I.N.A to make a large mosaic. How am I going to do that? Welcome to Heavenly Backyard Astronomy. So the equipment that I'm using will be the Orion ED80. It's a refractor telescope with a focal length of 480 millimeters. That gives me somewhat of a wide field of view, an f6 on the focal ratio, but that's not going to be wide enough. I've also added to the imaging train a 0.8x reducer. That'll take that 480 millimeters down to 400 millimeters, which will give me a wider field of view, a focal ratio of f.6. But it's still not quite large enough. Well, the camera that I'm using is the Topec Sky i24. It is a full-frame camera with the IMX410 sensor. Now, the pixel size of this camera is 5.96 microns, nearly 6 microns. That is a huge pixel size, and that results in a larger size field of view. Still, it's not going to be enough. Now, the system over here on the AM3 mount, I have this new mount I've been working with, and I'll be tracking it through N.I.N.A. So I'm going to be using N.I.N.A to set things up to make a mosaic picture. And with that view that I want, I'm going to have to take 4 different frames to get that wide field of view. Now while I'm at it, right next to it nearby is the Orion Nebula, and within the Orion Nebula area is the Horsehead Flame Nebula, and in between those two is what? It's the Belt of Orion. Can I get that in a single frame? I can with a mosaic. So we're going to do that, and also I'm going to take a look at the California Nebula. Again, I'm going to use 2 frames to get that whole nebula in the field of view. So with that being said, let's go and set up N.I.N.A, take the mosaic, and then go into Pixinsight and merge them all together. Here I am in N.I.N.A right now. So the first thing I want to do is go into Sky Atlas and check up for NGC 2244, which is the Rosette Nebula. And there it is. I preloaded it to save a little time, but there it is. You set for framing assistant. We'll do that. And it's going to load the target into this with the right ascension and declination values. And I just happen to know that my camera is rotated 330 degrees, so I preset that as well. Here we go. It should pop up. There it is right there. Now, there's the Rosette Nebula. That in itself is a pretty good view, but I wanted this wider field of view for this particular session. And I want this portion as well, the Christmas Tree Nebula, and in that, I think right there is the Hubble Variable Nebula. I want all that a part of this frame. So the next thing I do is go over here to targets and add a horizontal panel and a vertical panel, and there you can see it right there. Now, as I mentioned, I have my camera is rotated 330 degrees, so we'll just do that real quickly. Right there, 3,330. And there it is. All right. Now, I don't want the rosette centered in this picture. I mean, I could, but I don't want to. I want it centered over here in panel number 4. So I'm just going to put it right there and bring it up just a little bit right there. This will get all this other target information off to the upper left of the field of view here. And again, reloading this so it'll be exactly the view that I'm looking for, just to double check to make sure it's all correct. And again, there it is. And yeah, that's what I want. There's the Christmas tree there, and there's the Rosette Nebula there. And I guess you can call it fluff. The other panels 2 and 3. All right, now the next thing we want to do is go to add target to the sequence. Now I could use the legacy sequencer. It will do its job, but I have a few extra things I want N.I.N.A to keep an eye on, so I need the advanced sequencer to do that. And I set up a template called NGC2244Mosaic. What do you think? And loads it in right there. Now this is panel number 1. So it loaded in panel number 1 right here. I have everything preset. I have it to center after a drift. And, you know, they've had some passing clouds come by, and the guiding and the tracking get off, and the center drifts away from the center of the field of view. N.I.N.A will put it back on center if you ask it to, and the default value here is 10 arc minutes, which I think is a little bit too much. I have it down to 1.5 arc minutes of drift, and if it finds that outside of this area, it will put it back on target. So I like that a lot. But you need the advanced sequencer to do that. Also, I'll be evaluating the filters and the focus and so forth. If it gets out of focus, it will refocus the system. And over here, smart exposures, I'm going to be taking 18 images at 300 seconds each. So that's 5 minutes. So that's an hour and a half for this panel number 1. And panel number 1, that's going to be that's the Christmas tree nebula right over here. All right, go back into the sequencer. And I have the gain set for the camera default and the offset camera default. I have the filter set for the Optolong L Ultimate, and I have a filter wheel on the camera right now with the different Optolong filters inside the Enhanced, Ultimate, the Pro, and the Quad. For this, the Ultimate is going to be working very well. And I'm just saying dither 0 here because I have dithering up over here after 3 exposures. So after every 3rd exposure, or 15 minutes, it'll dither the field of view. All right, that's panel number 1. What about panel number 2? There they are. Panel number 2, and panel number 3, panel number 4. Let's just check them just to make sure. Open it up. And everything should be the same right over here. Again, everything is disconnected at the moment. I'll be connecting it later on tonight. But again, there's everything right there. But it will be on panel number 2, which in this case would be what? Right over here. Basically nothing, but it's part of the field of view. And go back into the sequencer. Same thing for panel number 3 and panel number 4. All systems go. And then once I'm ready and so forth, I'll just hit go over here, and N.I.N.A will take it from there. It'll be generating images all night long, and the target is up all night long. So this is a perfect time of the year to get the Rosette Nebula and the Christmas Tree Nebula all in the same field of view. So the next step is, how do I take these images and stitch them together in Pixinsight? Well, let's take a look. All right, the first thing we need to do, obviously, is to stack each individual frame, and I did that in Pixinsight over here in stacking, and you just simply go through script, batch processing, and then weighted batch pre-processing, and go through the stacking issues there. All right, so from there, here are the stacked images. There's frame number, or panel number 1, panel number 2, panel number 3, and panel number 4 after stacking. I still have some artifacts, some gradients over here from the vignetting of the camera itself, but we're going to take care of that in our next step right now. So let's do that. So I'll minimize these. For example, you do this for every frame. So the first thing I need to do is to go into script, or rather process, all processes, and then go over into SpectrometricFluxCalibration. This is new over in the Pixinsight 19.1. And what I'm doing is taking the ideal QE curve, and I'm going to choose my filters. In this case, I did have the Optolong L and Optolong L Ultimate filters. I'll get it out. And for the red, green, and blue, keep that checked for there. And make sure you have your Gaia set properly. Make sure you have that loaded into your system. And then just simply drop and see what happens here. Should get some three funny curves. There they are, kind of like nice S curves and so forth, showing what it did. I mean, I don't know, but anyway, you need to do that, and you just close that out. Now, if you did not stack in Pixinsight, then you don't have a image calibration over here. You need to go into Scripts, Astrometry, and Image Solver to get the image to be solved. So it knows the coordinates. Anyway, so the next thing I got to do is go into Processes, All Processes, and then Multiscale Gradient Correction. This is also new. And make sure you have your Mars system set up, and you download those from the website, Pixinsight, where you downloaded the version 19.1 or 19, then 19.1. And you need to load these into the proper directory. I found out the way you do that is the Pixinsight will be on my C drive over in the program files. This is on a Windows machine. And then Pixinsight right here. And I downloaded those Mars files right over here in the Pixinsight directory. It seems like it wants to be in this directory for it to work. I tried other directories, and even I told it where it was. It still didn't work, but when I put them in here, it worked. So that's how you do that. All right, let's close this out over here. Cancel. And everything else I'm going to leave at default right now, and just click on this right over here. And this should pretty well knock out most of that gradient, particularly in the lower left-hand corner. This will show you how much of the gradient it removed. You can play around with these values over here, but it removed most of the gradient there. So I'm fairly pleased with that. And there you have the rosette. You can see the stars in the center and so forth. All right. Next step we want to do is color calibrate it. And everything is already preloaded since we did these other two steps. So the next step we go into Processes, All Processes, whoops, and then go into Spectrometric Color Calibration right there. Again, make sure you have the proper filters selected. So I picked the average spiral galaxy as the white reference. Seems to work for most of these. And let's just let it rip right now. Oops, we need to find a region of interest for the background neutralization. So let's do that. If you have the SETI Scripts Toolbox suite loaded, simply go into there and find your background. It makes life easy. These are free, so they're just need to download them and just go search. And it's going to search the entire image for the best possible black image background. It doesn't take too long, so it's worth the wait. Let the computer find the best mark for you, and it'll find it right there. Just hit close out of here. And where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Let's take a look. And there it is right there. So go over here from preview, select right there. So it just selected that area there. And let's execute this by taking the triangle and dropping it on the image. It doesn't take too long. This is basically replacing the color correction and the background neutralization functions. Here we have it right there. There's the curves for whatever they're worth. And let's stretch this. There it is. All right. Still got this gradient over here, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. Okay. Remove the backgrounds. All right. So far, so good. All right. The next step I like to do is run Blur Exterminator on each panel. You have to do this for all 4 panels. The more panels you do, well, the more work it's going to be involved. A lot of times you can get things with 2 panels. So I got one coming up the end. I did the California Nebula with 2 panels, and it came out pretty nice. All right. There's the Blur Exterminator, tightening all the stars, making them nice and round. That's nice and smooth. Okay. All right. All right, I'm going to minimize this. Now, Another thing I found out, it's best to do the histogram transformation before you do the stitching process. So you can do it either way, but I found out if you do the stitching before you do the histogram transformation, you're going to get some errors. And I'll show you that in just a minute. All right, so let's go into the next step, and that is we need to go to a place called the scripts. Again, this is new in 19.1. Again, it's in astrometry. Go to Mosaic by Coordinates. Click on that. And well, I already have them plugged in here because I already did it. But anyway, these are the 4 panels. You can add the windows, and there they are right there, the ones I wanted to add. You just click on these right here. And those will add those. Those are the ones I want to use. I'm going to cancel that. I already got them in there. And over here, you want to do a registered value. This will be tagged on as part of the file name. So the name will be panel 1 underscore registered. Okay. And where do you want to put those? Put them into this directory here. I make any directory you want, but just tell it where it is. And it's Astro Rosette Cluster Rosette Demo. Okay. And all right, this process takes longer than all the others. So I'm rejoining now back in progress, and look at the final outputs. And here we have panel number 1 and panel number 2, panel number 3, and panel number 4. So that is the large scale view of the system. Now we want to merge these together. So even though I asked it to save it in a file folder called demo, it did not, because it was a image file instead of a stored file. So what we have to do, and we need to do this now, is save each individual one of these into that directory. All right, or folder, as some people call it. Save as, and I'm going to put them over here in Rosette Demo. Panel number 4, save, and just keep the defaults. And do this for all of the files. Okay, now I have all the files saved in that one folder, or I like to call directory. All right, let's just minimize this. Now the next step we go to is in GradientMergeMosaic, and that's going to be found in Processes, or Process, All Processes, and it's Gradient Merge Mosaic right there. Double click on, or just single click on that, and now we have to add the file. See, nowhere can you add a open window. You have to add the file. All right, add file, and we loaded this over into demo. And let's just load these 4 images right here. And you got an option here of overlay or average. Average seems to work pretty good. The defaults seem to work pretty good as well. If you do have issues, you might want to play with those. But otherwise, just hit the circle and let her rip. This doesn't take all that long. Let's see how long it takes. It's not that long. Oh yeah, it is that long. All right, I'll come back when it's finished. All right, there's the final image. It took about 4 minutes. It took about 4 minutes. Anyway, there's the final image right there. However, I want to show you a comparison. We can close this out right now. Obviously, we're going to have to crop it, but I want to show you something first. I want to show you the panel that was before doing a screen transfer stretch. This was the merger if you did not stretch them. From the linear portions of the images, these are 4 linear images merged together. You can see it didn't work very well at all. So after the histogram transformation, this is what you get. It's much, much cleaner than this over here. One of the new things about, by the way, for Pixinsight 19 and 19.1 is if you hold down your cursor over the image and hold down the control key, in Windows and just pull it over and drop it into here, you got a little, see that little orange ball right there? Now watch what happens if I zoom in on this image here. You see it zooms in over here too? Slide it around and it follows it. I got a much better view after doing the histogram transformation and then stitching the 4 panels together after that. From there, you can go on into modifying the images if you want. You can, let's just open this all the way up. First thing you want to do is a dynamic crop. Let's do that. Get rid of these artifacts from stacking over here. Do that. And crop. Now this image is huge. Let me see if I can see the size of it. I don't know if it's possible or not. Let's take a look. Anyway, there's the final image. You can modify it, so forth and so on, by doing a star exterminator and then doing noise exterminator, beefing up the images and so forth, and you come up with a nice final product. But that's how you put it all together in Pixinsight. So let's take a look at the some of the final images and join me back outside. Well, that's how I do it in Pixinsight and N.I.N.A, making these mosaics. And it looks great, these pictures. Stick around to the end to look at these pictures coming up. But anyway, I used the Pixinsight version 1.9.0. But since then, they released 1.9.1. That's the one I really used. And since then, a couple of days later, they just released version 1.9.2. So I have a list of some of the stuff over here showing the additional commands that you could use to help navigate through Pixinsight. It's getting really, really good. Anyway, I'd like to thank all those who have been supporting my channel. I really appreciate that. The super thanks, the joining my Patreon page, and joining my channel in itself. Thank you, thank you, thank you very, very much. So coming up at the end are the pictures, and I'm going to be zooming in on some of those as well. The Rosette Nebula and the Christmas Tree Nebula, I got those. And, you know, this is the time of the year. We're at the end of the year, beginning of a new year. The heavens are filled with majestic wonders, and there are so many right now, besides the Orion Nebula, the Horsehead Nebula, the Rosette Nebula, the Christmas Tree Nebula. They're all over the place, up in a sky near you, in your own backyard. So unless you need rain, clear skies, everyone.